While you've been talking, Brian, former President Trump has just sent out a message on Truth Social. He's announcing who his VP pick will be, and it's none too surprising that it is indeed JD Vance. This is what he says: after lengthy deliberation and thought and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I've decided the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President is Senator JD Vance of the great state of Ohio. And he goes on to list, Brian, his many achievements, reared by his grandparents, of course, went to public school in Middletown, Ohio, then to Ohio State University, served in the Marine Corps, went to Yale Law School, then was an entrepreneur, a businessman in San Francisco, went on to write the book Hillbilly Elegy about his life, and then, of course, was elected senator for Ohio, junior senator currently for Ohio. The thinking was, Brian, that there were two ways the party could go. They could either go establishment with someone like Marco Rubio, or they could look to the next generation. And JD Vance is certainly that, isn't he?
Well, he's definitely the next generation, but I would also highlight his broad appeal is what makes him most appealing. He's 39 years old. If he were to win in November, he'd be the second youngest VP in American history. He has broad working class appeals. This is somebody who picked himself up from the bootstraps. Got a degree, went on to serve our country with distinction, and then ultimately did what every American wants to do, and that's go to an Ivy League school. His story is very much the American story, where they get up and they find purpose and they move forward. And I think JD, for full disclosure, JD is a former client of mine. I consider him to be a good friend, and I think he's going to do a tremendous job, traveling this country and talking about the MAGA movement. The party has changed. It's no longer the establishment, the Wall Street party that it used to be. It's Donald Trump's party, and that makes it working class. And JD is sort of that bridge of the growing up poor, growing up without shoes, working class that worked its way up and to find American success. I mean, he's the perfect guy that embodies that right now.
In other presidential campaigns, Brian, you well know that they agonize over the decision as to who will be the VP pick. Sometimes it's to carry a state. We've seen picks in the past for Florida or Ohio in the past, who are sort of those sort of states that are this big swing states that carry big electoral college votes. Why? I get the sense, though, in this campaign, Donald Trump's not in that position, and that's perhaps why he's deliberated so long. He's ahead in the polls. He's on the crest of a wave right now, despite the adversity he faced over the weekend. So even right to the end today, he was still deliberating who it might be.
Listen, like I said earlier, Donald Trump's the best executive producer on television, and he knew by holding out as long as he could, it would just garner more and more attention, which it did. I felt like I've known who's going to be JD Vance for over a year. It's MAGA plus, and so he's sort of doing a tilt to the future of the party. He doesn't want the party to go back and be a Wall Street corporate party. If he'd have picked Rubio, we would have seen that. If he would have picked Governor Burgum, we would have seen that. He wants the party to be a working class party, and he picked somebody in JD that very much matches his philosophy, and he's given a hat tip to the future of the party. And I think he puts the party in strong hands when he makes it a working class party. You've seen it grow among ethnic groups all over the country. You've seen it grow among young demographics. JD's a very young person, and he has broad appeal. I mean, he had JD won the suburban votes in Ohio, which was at one point considered a swing state. So I think President Trump feels with JD and him, it's the full package to go in November and talk about the issues that matter to the American people, which are not the assassination attempt, which is not these lawsuits that have been brought forward, the weaponization of the judicial system. It's immigration, it's inflation, and it's the wars abroad that are in the attention of the American people. And JD and President Trump have a plan to deal with those things, and I think that's what they want to push forward, and I think we're going to see a vigorous debate between now and November.
Brian, it's always good to see you. Thank you for your thoughts this evening. Enjoy the convention.